Alright, so this is the second installment of my how-to series by Denz. I actually got a group for Halls of Lightning this time. No guildies though. So this is a complete pug. And there will be some things in here that you'll see as we go along that you'll probably question. But still, for the most part, the strats that I usually use are followed and things are marked the way I would normally mark them. Again, I had to convince them to let me have leader just so I could mark the normal kill order that I would use for this instance. I'd mark the same way if I'm tanking or healing, so it doesn't really change at all. And the first group here usually take out the dwarf first. They're the menders, they're healers. So, needless to say, they die first. Normally, it doesn't matter after that. I don't really care which order they die in after, as long as the healer goes down first. But the paladin told me, oh, if you're making an instructional video, you should mark them all in the correct order. So I went ahead and started marking the hunters second, the ranged ones, because they do a knockback when they shoot, and they will disengage like a normal hunter and jump away from you. So they're pretty annoying, but really I don't care as long as the healer goes down first. So I marked it that his way in this next pull, where you get the healer first, and then the hunter mob, and then the other two. I usually take the right path, since when you do finish the instance, you can just jump right down and leave. Also, based on the timing for the boss patrol, he usually is on his way back towards this circle right here by the time you get here. Now this time he went a little bit faster than I expected, and we went ahead and got him charged, but not anything I was too worried about. You want to kill the ads first. Just ignore the boss and DPS down the ads. Make sure they don't lose aggro and jump around. Sometimes they'll go after the healer if they're not paying attention. So then it's pretty much a very simple fight. He switches stances. He's like a warrior. He's got his battle stance, where he'll mortal strike, and he's got his defensive stance where he'll like spell reflect stuff, and then he's got his berserker stance where he'll whirlwind and intercept sometimes. So the melee needs to run out when it does the whirlwind, and see there, he intercepted me there. But overall, it's a pretty easy fight, even when he's lightning charged. If you got a decently geared tank and you've got someone that can at least put out an average amount of healing, this is not a hard boss at all. Very easy achievement. The achievement is to kill him or pull him when he is charged with lightning. Another one of the little dwarf mobs. There's three of them here. The tacticians. And they'll cast a lightning root ability on someone in the party, and it'll damage that person in the party and anyone they move near quite a bit. So if you see yourself spark with lightning, you just want to stand still. The next two large groups are pretty much the same thing. Three larger guys and then one dwarf. Kill the dwarf first, and then the other three. They're a mix of the hunter mobs, the warrior mobs, and the roguish type mobs. And this next one, there were two hunter type mobs, so the paladin decided to repentance one, I think that's the ability it's called, stun him, but in doing so she also pulled all the aggro and died. We did not, the rest of us we pulled through, but yeah, just more time we had to waste because I had to res her. There's no real reason to control the mob. This was not a bad like damage output group, so maybe in groups where killing is really slow, you don't want to leave that thing up for a long, extended amount of time. But in this one, it would have not been up very long, because we would just DPS down really quick. Now that's on to the fire elemental room. Really, you're not supposed to, you really shouldn't do anything unless you're the tank. The tank pulls it all and grabs all the aggro. I won't do anything normally in here as a healer except maybe throw a shield on the tank before he runs in and a prayer of mending, and then just keep my finger on the fade in case I grab a couple. Then when you get to the other end, you want to run up to the top of the stairs because the elementals explode when they die. And this kind of sucks because it's like an all melee group, so they would run in, drop their AoE, then run back out. If you're ranged, just stay at range and lay down the AoE. And it's really easy to heal through, but it's only one person taking damage, the tank. And for these mobs, the steam jet mobs die first because they will occasionally do an AoE knockback, which is very annoying and still pretty confined around here, so you can get knocked back into another group, like there's one right behind us. So you DPS those down first, and then the fire guys. And there's about 2 or 3 groups of them before the next boss, and also a patrol of 2 steam jet mobs. They just need to watch out for because they come around the central pillar thing there. Sometimes before this next boss, if I was tanking, I would always go over and pull that other group of 3 on the far side just to play it safe, but they opted to skip them, so we did. And for this, it's a straight up DPS race. You just go up to him and you beat the crap out of him as fast as you can to try and get him down before he can spawn a whole bunch of golems. And you ignore the ads completely. They'll run around randomly. They don't have a whole lot of threat control. So they'll run around, beat on the healer maybe, or the DPS, and there's nothing you can really do about it. But if he stays up long enough and he summons enough golems, he'll start to shatter him, and then they'll explode and do massive damage right there. The paladin died. I guess it was too close to too many of the ones that shattered. And that's pretty much it. Just hit him, just beat him as fast as you can. Try to get him down before he can shatter too many, and it's also an achievement. It's called Shatterproof. If you can get him down before he shatters, I think it's like 4 golems. This next room is my least favorite room in this entire instance, because as the tank runs through, it'll activate 2 to 3 to 4 mobs that are standing along the sides there. So as the healer, I try to stay way back and let the tank run forward. And it's a good idea for the tank, if you have an AoE ability, just drop it right there in the center like the Death Knight did. And they all should come right to him. They also drop fears, so I threw a fear ward on them for the first one. They usually fear like right as they die. And this time it was 4. It's not really necessary to throw up marks. I mean, I did it to try and help DPS a little bit, but as long as the tank grabs them, you shouldn't have any real difficulty beating these guys. And you also need to be careful, because what happened there is the fears will fear you into the next activation point for the next group of mobs, so it can be tricky. If you get an unlucky fear, that they just sends them right for the next spawn point. The elementals, the whirlwind mobs, they just do straight nature damage, but the revenants, the ones that was marked with a skull to kill first, they do a lightning attack and a debuff that is also a dot. And so they're much more dangerous than the whirlwind mobs, so they usually should die first. You don't have to kill very many of them though, it's just that one and then these 3 up here at the top of the stairs. And then that's it as far as nature mobs go.